And just hit it.
Oh man, God sent the monthly sun bill today. This sunlight is really expensive, especially during this season. I'll probably have to work overtime to pay it.
Well, you better pay it on time. We don't want the sun to go out and we're sitting up here all day in the dark. Wouldn't it be terrible if God charged us for sunlight? Well, thank God, the light and heat from the sun is free. So why are we paying such high bills for the energy we use in our homes? Because we don't know how to use solar energy, the free energy from the sun. You can convert your regular home to a solar energy home and save tremendously.
So now is the screen that you're using, Keyshawn, is it stable?
Eliminate that cost altogether? Let one of our solar consultants show you how. Call today, 312-849-456 and schedule a free consultation at 312-849-3456. We have an opportunity to transform the whole global society in the next 50 years. 50 years from now, the Earth will be populated by a new generation of adults, many of whom are yet unborn. Our mission is to nurture them in childhood with love, guidance, and protection, and to raise them in healthy, happy families. If we impart values of compassion, generosity, and respect for fellow human beings in the next generation of children, they will create a world where people can live together in peace. This is our goal. Be a part of the transformation. Get your copy of the book, The Female Solution. Go to www.naimahLatif.com. That's www.naimahLatif.com.
And we are back. Thank you so much for listening to and watching the Female Solution Radio Show. I'm Naimah Latif, along with our co-host, Karriem Hameed, and our guest today is Caroline Chang, who is host, producer of Awake to Oneness Radio. And this is a fantastic show that you need to be watching, especially if you want to get some inspiration, information, motivation, and all kinds of mind-expanding concepts that can change your life. So, Caroline, tell our listening audience when your show, when it airs. You've got it on YouTube as well as on Blog Talk Radio. So tell us when we can see and hear your programs.
Well, I have about 200 episodes, and you can see any of them on Blog Talk Radio or YouTube or anywhere you can listen to a podcast, you can find mine. So, and you can watch all the older shows that have already aired, but a new show airs every Friday at 7 p.m. Eastern. So every Friday, 7 p.m. Eastern, a new show, and all my 200 shows or more are on YouTube, Blog Talk Radio, iHeartRadio, Google Play, all over, iTunes, everywhere.
Fantastic. Well, and what's the, I know it's www.blogtalkradio.com/awake.
No, actually, my website is awake2onenessradio.org. That is my website.
Okay.
Awake2onenessradio.org.
And oneness is spelled out with O-N-E.
Yes.
N-E-S-S.
That's the only number, you use the number 2 instead of the word 2.
Right. Great. Well, we've got some callers on the line we want to bring into this conversation. And one of the things that we have been talking about for over the last several weeks is how we can change this society, which in so many ways is destructive. The concept of oneness is not there. There is a very distinct hierarchy. There is a system in place that basically exploits people who are in pain and suffering and deprived of financial means. We've got this prison system that is basically, it has become the major income source for many rural areas, and that's just a financial reality. So as a result of that, there's a whole system geared toward getting people into prison so that they can generate income for the local communities where those prisons are held. And this has really been stressful for so many families, especially in these times. Everybody's worried about, you know, the virus. How do you stay safe? How do you keep a social distance? And it really points to something sick in our society that needs to be healed so that we can get rid of this way of handling human beings. I want to take some calls now and bring into the conversation our dear brother, Brian Vickers, who is an investigative reporter that has been really working on the issue of social justice. Thank you so much for joining us today, Brian, on The Female Solution.
Yes, good morning, everybody. How you doing? As me and myself, I'm trying to hold on in the midst of this pandemic. We have a couple of callers in queue waiting to get in.
Yes, certainly. And we're grateful that all who have joined us today. And if you're listening online and want to join this conversation, give us a call, 515-605-9325, and press 1 when you're ready to speak. And we are recording live on Zoom. We have given those who have Zoom on their computers the link on our Facebook page if you'd like to join us. And we've got our co-hosts here connected by audio by our phone line, Karriem Hameed. And we've got one of our Saturday hosts, Keshan Lovejoy Empowers, on with us, who has been really instrumental in addressing some of those painful things that could cause human beings to go astray. Her show is The Black Taboo, and that many of those things, such as incest, rape, you know, the horrendous things that happen on a personal level to people that we don't talk about. And so people hold the pain inside of them, and it manifests sometimes later on in life in aberrant behavior because we haven't dealt with it. Before we take a call, Lovejoy, I want to ask you this question because, you know, we look at what happens and what we don't deal with. In your show that comes on every second Saturday, 12 noon to 2 p.m. Central Time, what have you observed about a lot of people when it comes to their feelings of guilt and fear of hell and damnation when they leave this world? So many people are afraid to die because they, you know, either something has happened that's shameful, religious institutions have condemned them. They feel like, you know, God doesn't forgive them, and, you know, all of that. And so there's a real shame factor that people are holding. What have you observed about that, and how does that impact people when it comes to feeling that shame, that feeling that God won't even forgive me for what happened to me or for what I did?
I believe that the shame is very sad because there are a lot of people that just want to fit in, or they come a part of something called a group think, where, you know, they follow different people or different people's patterns and behavior and not know their own. They aren't comfortable with their own pattern and their own thoughts. So since they're insecure about their own thoughts and behavior, they become kind of isolated. And when they become isolated, they're alone with their thoughts as far as maybe the embarrassment of what they have done, or embarrassment within someone else's opinion. And I definitely believe that we as people in awakening and oneness shouldn't be influenced by someone's opinion. So I think that's number one. Self-love is first. So if you have that abundance of self-love for self, then everyone else's opinion, the selection in which the media choose to provide to us, it wouldn't become as connected to our awakening to oneness. Once you can awaken yourself or become woke, you are awake. That means that there isn't anything that can tear down the training or the pattern of your thought. And I think every morning, as before I even started on with Zoom, I had to have every morning, I have to have meditation, prayer, and become a oneness. And I live near the water, so I've always loved the water. So the vibrations of the water, the power of the sun rising, the rays of the sun, the sky, even if it's cloudy, I feel that. So once you're in tune with self, I believe you can block out. And that's the point. In the morning, you prepare your mind for anything that can possibly distract you or interrupt your purpose throughout the whole day. So to answer your question directly, the shame comes from embarrassment, insecurity, and not being aware. So if you are aware of self and everything that's going around you, it wouldn't even phase you. Sometimes I have to stop myself. I was reading and reading because I like to learn. And the more I was reading, I wanted to stay up to date with what was going on. And, I take all of this personally because to see, for instance, in New York, all those body bags, and it's as if I'm thinking, you know, people talk about the guns on the street. This is a higher level to a gun. It just isn't a gun. I mean, and it's not just killing a few people or missing, it's actually going for what they have aimed for. And I think we're going on a whole nother level from that 4G to 5G. So people need to understand the difference in what that 4G, because from 4G to 5G, the 5G is 100 times more faster than the 4G, and it will collect information. It's more of a data driven. So whatever you're doing, it can be seen, so you could either, if you have a full understanding of what 5G is, you have the option now, because it'll be sold for an affordable price, but you will have the option to opt out. And if you want, because our 4G and all the phones prior to it, the information is encrypted. Like, for instance, with Apple, due to Jobs, he wanted it encrypted. Whereas, don't quote me on this part right here, whereas I believe the 5G is not encrypted. So if I watched, they were riding their a mobike, a new bike somewhere, and then they left their iPhone or some type of phone on the bike. So they were instantly, it's good, it's advantages and disadvantages. They left the phone, so they were able to instantly find out whose phone it was through facial and voice recognition. And they got the phone for them because they knew everywhere that they went. If one wants to call an Uber, you just talk to your phone, Uber, and the Uber knows exactly where to come if the 5G is all connected, and know exactly who you are, and you don't have to look at the license plate to say, oh, is this the right vehicle? But the Uber driver will already know. So we have to have self-awareness, knowledge, wisdom, and clear understanding of what's going on, to not allow ourselves to fear. We have to maintain that faith to keep walking. Whatever we did, I'm not perfect. I, get on my knees and ask God for forgiveness for anything that I have done to harm anyone, because that's not my intention. But once you can admit that to yourself and not deny it, I believe you don't have to live in shame. I mean, we're created as masterpieces, but we have to show empathy, compassion. And it's just not cool to see all those bodies that I saw in a truck in New York just laying there. And it's so sad that the families were unable to, some had to die alone. And, um, you know, with funerals, it's just sad because it's a disconnection. So when it's a disconnection, that could go either way. Some people can disconnect themselves, isolate themselves to be negative in society. And then you have those could look at something and change it to a positive thing where they want to spread the word and listen to their spirit, their instinct. Instinct is everything. So once you know that, you can connect more so naturally and with nature. And the shame, it doesn't have to be there. Do I have time for one more piece? I
Mm,
was going to speak of Dennis Rodman.
mm,
Um, I love Dennis. I love stories. I love the story behind the athlete, behind the man specifically, because he went through life, um, and he felt like his mother abandoned him. He really loved her and everything, but at a certain point, you know, he wasn't doing anything. So you got to go to school, get out, go work or something. Long story short, he kept trying to be liked, to fit in, because he always felt awkward in different places. And but he was a caring man, and he was misread because he enjoyed helping others. He would buy drinks for everyone. He just wanted everyone else to be happy.
mm,
And I believe he wanted everyone else to be happy because he wasn't happy within himself. So therefore, when he was with the Pistons, I think that was the first no, or the second team that he was with the Pistons, and Isaiah Thomas gave him a family love, but that family love he thought it was going to always be, and it wasn't. So when the coach had to leave, it confused him. It really made him upset because he thought it was supposed to be that, and as he went from team to team, he could tell when the love connection wasn't there,
mm,
but he needed to understand, you know, him. He just wanted to be somewhere where he was loved, where it was connected, intimate, consistent, committed. And I saw that on 30 by 30 days or something like that. And I love the way he expressed himself, you know, as a man. If he wanted to cry, he cried. And there was at some place he admitted to to the public, I wish I was a better father.
mm.
I wish I could have been there for my kids. So although some of those things happened to him, he took it a different way. And instead of being what he had missed in his life, he ended up repeating a cycle. So there's a time where we have to stop the cycle, and he could have stopped it, and he still can. I mean, he's still alive. He's still a funny person. He has full of humor. So throughout all the obstacles that he has gone through, he has a clearer understanding, and he knew the people that he was buying stuff for could care less about him, but it was what he wanted to do. He wanted to share and give, but he wanted it on a permanent, complete, committed, and consistent basis. And I can really relate to that. He wanted unconditional love. But first, he had to understand that unconditional love about self, so everyone
Love
else
yourself.
didn't matter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's the lesson that we learn. We have to love ourselves and believe ourselves worthy of love. A lot of us, we've gone through religious conditioning that makes us believe we're in a constant state of judgment and condemnation. And so because we're believing that, we feel shame when something happens, or we feel unworthiness. And it's interesting that in these times, and you mentioned, you know, the whole technology of the 4G and the 5G, and the fact that we have technology now where we can identify everybody on the planet, who everybody is. We can know where everybody is. It's almost as if the physical realm is starting to mirror the spiritual realm in terms of no barriers to where we can go, who we can see. We can be anywhere in an instant through technology. And so we're beginning to mirror what the spiritual realm the other dimension is like, where there are no barriers and you can instantly see a person, you can instantly know who they are. And so now we need an elevation of understanding so that our technology, so that our spiritual understanding keeps pace with our technology, so we don't misuse the technology and use it to abuse people. So before I take this next call, Caroline, you've had some people on your show that talk about what they discovered when they have come back from a near-death experience, or when they've traveled to other realms, and or when they've channeled other entities. And they all describe like an incredible love and acceptance. And this isn't what's being taught. So people aren't expecting that when they leave here. They expect, no, I'm going to be judged, or I did this horrible thing. And so knowing that this is the reality, that love is the reality, give us some insight. Some of the guests that you may have had that may even have impacted your thinking or clarified an understanding of what real love is, what real spirituality is, in terms of what actually happens when we leave the confines of this physical world and what we really see on the other side.
Well, in truth, there's no difference. We just don't see it here. It's here. My awakening to oneness was very complete, in the sense that I understand there is, the first thing I understood is there is no separation between me and God. And I think with religions, and I have nothing against religions, but with the religion I was taught, God is up here and I'm down here, and God is up here looking at me and judging me. When I understood the truth of oneness from my heart and soul, I knew there is absolutely no separation between me and God. We are all God having an experience. God wants to experience this world through us. So we're all God having an experience. We're not separate from him. And so God can't judge us, because God would just be judging himself. We are connected. We are all one. And when I say all one, in oneness, there's no two-ness. So there's not God then us. There's, all there is God. So that's the, see, so when we know that all there is God, we are experiencing both spirituality and the physicality, because there truly is no physicality. It's just very dense here. It's just dense spirituality. But, and when we leave our body, it's not so dense.
You know, it's interesting now, when Jesus was breaking that down, just like you just said, they wanted to condemn him and say, oh, you're a sacrilegious, you horrible person, he'll kill you for that. But he was basically trying to help humanity understand we are expressions of God. That's all of us are. So how are you going to hate someone? And what is that quote? How are you going to? Yes, go right ahead.
Yes, praise be to God. You know, God has been presented to most human beings as the punisher. You know, the punisher. You don't want to make God angry. Well, if you can affect the Creator, then He is not God. You know, if you can have an influence,
absolutely,
affect Him, then He is not God. So we have been given a concept of a punisher, of one that will get you. Oh, he's looking at you, he see you. Oh, he's going to get you. But no, God, he prays to Almighty God throughout Scripture, and especially the Quran. God says, I do not wish hardship for you. Only that you be sanctified. That means clean in your character. And we open up with the reading of the Quran with the name of God, the merciful, the first word of mercy, the merciful benefactor. When we need all that we have, He in on? The redemptiveness of Almighty God. God says, if his servant approaches him with sins that reach from the earth to the highest heavens, know, you should know that I have the ability to forgive you. To forgive you. He's a loving, merciful God. And redemption. And also, it is written in what we call the Hameed. It's the message sent to the prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings of God be upon him. It is Hameed Qudsi. These are very high it's revelatory, but not canonized. Whereby God says, even in the hellfire, I will send the angel into the hellfire and tell the angel, if you find anyone good in there, bring them out. The angel will enter the hellfire and bring them out. He will send the angel again. If you find anyone good in there, bring them out. And the angel will enter continuously and bring them out. God is not he does not wish pain and all of these things that are the Satan is the punisher. He's the punisher. God is loving and he's mercy. He is merciful. And let me say this. When we transition, first off, where did we come from? We came from God's will.
So we are returning home to where we came. Absolutely.
God says be, and it is. When we transition, we return back to what? God's will. And in the Quran, God tells us, he gives us a glimpse into the afterlife. He says that we will say, oh, this is similar to what was before. We will remember this dispensation in time, but we will be in a higher reality, a higher rewarding coming from that reality. So God is not one that punishes us. We punish ourselves.
We punish ourselves. We judge ourselves. We punish ourselves.
Once we reach that state of consciousness that you feel bad for what you have done, God has revealed to us in the Hameed Qudsi that there is no better condition, there is no love of the heart greater than him loving the repentant heart. We repent, and God loves that heart. Any other form of the heart. So we have to do away with this punishing God. God has clocked into the creation actions and
There is no punishing God because God wouldn't punish himself.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, well, all there is God.
Right.
There's nothing else but God.
Right.
Everything else is just an imagination of our mind, but that's still God's mind. There's only one mind, God's mind.
And we got to take another quick break, but when we come back, and we've got a bunch of callers that want to participate in this conversation. We're gonna take you in this order: 708-434, 773-221, and 773-447. Anybody else on our switchboard? Just press 1. We'll get you, and we're gonna get right to you as soon as we take this quick commercial break. And if you're listening online and want to join the conversation, give us a call, 515-605-9325. Press 1 when you're ready to speak, and we will add you to this morning think tank. Our guest today is Caroline Chang, host of Awake to Oneness Radio. And now that we are seeing our global family have this collective experience, it is an opportunity for us to prepare for a transformation. But the first transformation has to come with our thought so that we can recreate the world in a way that we want it to be, a place of peace, joy, and harmony. How do we get to that state of oneness? We'll be right back after this quick break, so stay with us.
Hi, this is John Alexander.
And I'm Naimah Latif. Meet people like you who are making a positive difference in the world. Watch us every day on the Media Connection at www.youtube.com/the Media Connection TV.
Got some folks joining us on Facebook now.
There are people who choose to make a positive difference in the world. Our job is to bring you their story to motivate you to do the same. Join us each week, host John Alexander and Naimah Latif, as we bring you the educators, entertainers, elected officials, religious leaders, and
Now
community
let's see.
activists.
Keyshawn, are you able to set your screen up so that it doesn't move, like you have it leaned against something, so that you don't have to hold it?
5 p.m. Tuesday to 12 noon on cable TV, channel 19 in Chicago, and other cities, check your local cable list. Worry about finances, family,